Muchas gracias. De verdad es una alegría ver cómo nuestro tejido empresarial cada vez se anima más y es más partícipe en el desarrollo de innovación abierta para tener un futuro más saludable y más sostenible. Para los que no me conocéis, yo soy Elvira Domingo, no trabajo en Kilómetro Cero, trabajo en Eat Food. Pero si hay algo que tenemos en común en nuestras dos empresas, y por eso me encanta colaborar con Kilómetro Cero, es que ambas queremos transformar el sistema agroalimentario para que sea más saludable, más sostenible y para que todos podamos confiar en él. Así que es un honor poder contribuir, colaborar con vosotros y por supuesto, desarrollar o juntar fuerzas, al fin y al cabo, para que vosotros, Kilómetro Cero y todos los agentes que estáis hoy aquí, podamos desarrollar proyectos con un impacto positivo. Voy a dar paso ahora a la siguiente charla y es sobre un tema que todos nos hemos cuestionado alguna vez, que es ¿qué es una dieta saludable? ¿Cómo podemos incorporar hábitos saludables en nuestro día a día? ¿Qué engloba una dieta equilibrada? Y para ello tenemos a un ponente de lujo que es Niklas Gustafson. Y dejadme que le presente brevemente. Niklas es un entusiasta de la salud. Come to the stage. Yeah. Es un entusiasta de la salud, nació en Suecia, como podéis ver, pero se ha formado en un máster de nutrición en la Universidad de Cádiz. Además tiene un Executive MBA por el IE de Madrid. Actualmente es el presidente y cofundador de Natruly. Y aboga por los principios paleo, por estar más cerca de la naturaleza, por consumir alimentos no procesados. Y tienes un podcast y un libro que se llaman Hungry for Change. Pero el resto os dejo que lo cuente Niklas. Gracias. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. And thank you so much. This is going to be in English. So, isn't it weird that when we are having ultra-processed food, nobody says anything? But when we are eating what we always have been eating, like, for example, raw egg yolks, beef liver, or cow stomach, as in Spanish, callos, people have a lot to say about that. And the thing is that actually, I see that the font is not the one that should be. But I hope you can read anyway. The concept of food addiction. So the processed food that we're eating today creates addiction. And I'm sure that most of us here, we have felt that when we eat something that is processed, we keep on eating. It's hard to stop. And I know myself, like 15 years ago, I stopped eating refined sugar. But before that, I had this craving for a Häagen-Dazs ice cream. Even though I was full after dinner, I could easily eat half a liter of Häagen-Dazs ice cream after that dinner. And the thing is that I bet that most of you have that feeling that you can't stop eating. You eat and you eat, even though that you're full. And the thing is that this food is made to be overconsumed. It's not by chance. So the food industry invests millions of euros in creating food that is designed for us to overeat. So the food is high in calories, but it lacks nutrients. And when we keep eating, we see all kinds of diseases in our society today. Overweight, diabetes, Alzheimer, autoimmune diseases. And we are actually in a pandemic of food-related diseases, which is really, really sad. This is type 2 diabetes, which is one of them. And the thing is that, the consequences of type 2 diabetes are many. But one of them that is rising, that is growing a lot, is amputations. Today, thousands and thousands of people in the Western world lose fingers, hands, feet, and even legs due to type 2 diabetes. It is type 2 diabetes is the number one cause of amputations in the Western world today. And we can see how this grows. In the US and in Europe. US is worse than Europe, but Europe is just behind. So here we can see two photos. One is from the 60s in the United States on a beach. Nobody is overweight, and obesity is basically unheard of. Today, this is a photo from today. This is something that we see more and more. And when I talk about food addiction, I do actually, a lot of people tell me, well, you are exaggerating. Food addiction is not as alcoholism or drugs. But the thing is that not everybody that get exposed to cocaine or alcohol get addicted to cocaine or alcohol. Actually, between 10 and 20% get addicted to these drugs. And the same thing with food. About 14% of American adults have some kind of food addiction, and 12% among kids. So food addiction is something real. And this is so sad. 36% of American children are overweight or obese. And the number in Europe is getting closer to that as well. In Europe, we see that in countries where we have more highly processed food, children, 5-year-old children, they are not just heavier, but also about this much shorter than children living in countries or regions in Europe where we don't have that much processed food. And so it's not just about that the food is calorie dense, it also lacks important nutrients that we need to thrive. And we all know that it's harmful to us to eat all kinds of sugar, candy, ice creams, soda. We all know that that's not what we should eat. But when it comes to these kind of products, actually the most dangerous food, I believe, are the ones that are disguised as healthy food. And there are a lot out there. Granolas, some of the breakfast cereals, we have smoothies, all kinds of products. They want us to believe that they're healthy while they're not. In many cases, they are packed with sugar. And as parents, if we don't know how to distinguish between healthy food and harmful food, how should our kids know? Most parents, we do what we can to pick the products that we think are healthy for our kids. And also, one thing that when I tell my kids, when I tell my friends that I don't want my kids to eat candy or ice cream, I prefer them to eat fruit and berries, for example, I do get the same comment always that let the kids be kids, let them eat what they want. They can have candy, they can have ice cream. But the thing is that, no, I want my kids to be healthy. I want them to grow up as strong, healthy individuals, not eating ultra-processed food. I want them to eat natural food. So what is it? What are the ingredients in junk food that are so harmful to us? Well, junk food or ultra-processed food are made out of these three ingredients. Basically, it's refined sugar, refined carbs, and seed oils. So what is it that make these ingredients so harmful to us? Well, basically two things. Number one, they are calorie dense, And number two, which is probably even more harmful, they lack nutrients. There are no nutrients in these ingredients that we need. No essential nutrients here. They lack the amino acids, they lack the fatty acids that we need, the vitamins, the minerals. Nothing here that we really need to thrive. And this is a ticking bomb. We are in a pandemic, in a worldwide pandemic, where we see the diseases related to consumption of processed food. And we see it's an explosion. It's an explosion in slow motion that we're seeing. We don't have time to analyze each one of these ingredients one by one, but just an example. This is a product, margarine, that has been made out of seed oils. So to make margarine, I don't know if you know the process, but you take the seed oils, you process them, high temperatures, high pressure, lots of chemicals, and you get a product that is more or less shoe polish. So it's a product that you can use for polish your shoes. It lacks all kinds of nutrients, no color, no flavor, and to make that into a product we are supposed to eat, we add all those things. We add flavorings, we add colorings, we add vitamins, minerals, and we sell it as something that is supposed to be butter, and even healthier than butter, for the same price. So it's a very profitable product, but it's nothing that we should eat to thrive. And you can make this very simple test at home. You can put margarine next to butter, and you will see that the ants would never touch the margarine. They would go for the real thing, the butter. So, at this point, you might be thinking that, why is this annoying Swedish guy telling me all this pretty negative, pessimistic things about food? Well, I am not pessimistic. I am actually optimistic, and I do believe that with today's sources of truth, we do have access. We know that accessing at least some channels that are not involved in the mainstream media, we can find a lot of information about real food. So I do believe that we should eat what we have always been eating. You know, genetically, we are the same people. We are the same human beings as we were 10,000 years ago. When we have real food, we thrive. And this is, by the way, a photo of me and 3 of my 5 kids having our favorite lunch, which is steak on the grill. And by the way, meat, red meat, has been demonized a lot the last decades. But you know, red meat, there is nothing as nutrient dense in nature as red meat. Red meat has about 10 essential nutrients that you cannot find in other food. Carnosine, carnitine, vitamin B12, heme iron, etc. So going back to this kind of pyramid, food pyramid, is what I want to do. It is what I do. Meat, fish, seafood, raw dairy, fruits, berries, raw honey. This is what we need to eat to thrive. And there are many healthy swaps that you could do. For example, I mentioned margarine to butter, soda, sparkling water. Instead of all these processed sweetening options, you can just sweeten with raw honey. And for the kids, there are also lots of healthy swaps. Like instead of candy, you could eat fruits and berries. And instead of the juice, why don't eat the fruit, the entire fruit? You get all the fibers, you get all the nutrients, etc. So when you choose to eat natural fats and natural protein, you do get the nutrients. You do get the amino acids, you do get the fatty acids, you get the vitamins, the minerals, and most of all, and this is so important, you get full. When you eat this food, your body realizes that, okay, I get the nutrients that I want, so that's it. I don't need to eat more. So it's basically impossible to overeat real food. That's the huge difference between real food and processed food. And this is just an example of how we swap the birthday cake for my 2-year-old son into a, raw balls, dates, cacao, virgin coconut oil, and almonds. It doesn't really, oh yeah, okay, here we go. So it's just an example. How it's quite easy. And the thing is that one thing is that going back, choosing the ingredients that we used a long time ago, but also learned how to cook. Because if you learn how to cook, you don't depend on others. You can control the ingredients, and it's so important. Okay, so then there is a company called Natruly, my own company. This company is never going to be as profitable as our competitors. It's just impossible. Our margins are much lower. We don't use sugar. We don't use seed oils. Those ingredients are less expensive. The ingredients that we use are much more expensive. For example, almonds and dried fruit, etc. I have always been gluten intolerant, so since childhood I was always looking for alternatives. And we started this company, my business partner, my Spanish business partner and I, we started this company 7-8 years ago. And our mission is to try to offer as natural products as possible. We don't want to process them if it's not necessary. We never use, in any products, gluten, seed oils, sugar, or artificial sweeteners. Okay? So today we have about 50 products, and this is our top selling product, the cacao cream. Has no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and we have 43% hazelnut, which is a lot. The same thing with our chocolates. They're not. We have no sugar, no sweeteners. They're sweetened with chicory root. And our delicious cookies, no gluten, no sugar. We also sweeten them with chicory root. And last but not least, our puffed snacks, or in Spanish, they're gusanitos. So these are, this is a quite unique snack because normally they're made with cornstarch and with seed oils, corn oil, and we don't use any of these. We use chestnut, and we use extra virgin coconut oil. So, Natruly is not the only company. There are other companies out there. Yesterday I talked to Adriana, Impossible Bakers, and they do delicious bread, pastry, pizzas. You can talk to Adriana later. And honestly, I believe, what I see is that we get more and more. These companies, we try to find alternatives that are more natural. And I do believe that this kind of companies, we do make the world a better place, trying to find more natural and more healthy options. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Niklas. Indeed, our food elections or food choices can have an impact and a change in the world and transform the agri-food system. Thank you very much.
Thank you.